All right, so we're live for what is the date today? It's the April alumni call. We have a guest speaker today. As you guys know, I always try to bring on guest speakers when possible. And today we have Willow Brown. Willow is a licensed medical acupuncture and Chinese practitioner. Willow is actually also my coach. I've worked with her in the past. I'll be working with her soon again in the future. And she's an incredible human. She has a big background, so I'll let Willow speak to that more. But today we're talking about improving any relationship. And so the reason why I like this topic is because I feel that it's possible to improve any relationship in your life, and everybody has something, whether it's with your spouse or your kid or your parent or a friend, there's always room for improvement, and communication is key. But a lot of people don't really know. We've never been taught how to communicate properly, but we also don't really know what that even means. So I'm really excited to have Willow on today to help us navigate that and go a little deeper in some other areas of, having awesome relationships with the people that we love in our life. So Willow, if you want to tell us more about yourself, and then you can dive right into the content.
So I've been working with human beings for over 20 years, and they're just such fascinating creatures, very dynamic we are. I work in the capacity of Chinese medicine. I'm a Taoist practitioner, a sexologist, an endocrinologist. Got my doctorate last year. So I really love to piece all of these parts of humanology together. And one of the most important things that we do in our lifetimes is we are in relationship with one another. Not only are we in relationship with one another, but we're in relationship with ourselves and different aspects of ourselves in relationship with different sectors of our lives. So we all have our own relationship with our sexuality. We have our own relationship with our finances. We have our own relationship with money, and with our home environment. And then we also have relationships with each other. And that's where it can get real tricky, because we have so many different dynamics between two people. Then if you add 3 or 4 and you have a whole family dynamic, things can get really interesting really quickly. So I would say, definitely communication is the most important thing in any relationship. And part of communicating is being able to understand what the other person is saying. So I've been teaching a lot on the throat chakra lately. And the throat chakra tends to be a place that women are blocked. And they often will feel it right here, right between the heart and the throat. And we call this the avenue of expression. That's a term from cranial sacral land. So this avenue of expression where the heart and the throat come together is a common place where women will feel when they really drop in and feel where they feel a blockage in their body, it's there. And what's interesting, Nicole will know this too, is in Chinese medicine, the tongue is the flower of the heart. So the tongue roots all the way down into the heart. So there's this really important connection between what's in your heart, what is your truth, and what are you speaking? And are they congruent? Are they a match with one another? And that's a powerful, powerful practice. If you can get that piece down, then your communication is going to improve tenfold. The other part about communicating is listening. They say, listening is half of communication. I would say listening is 90% of communication. It's really, really crucial to listen, and to listen with presence, not to listen to what your friend or your partner or your child is saying, and in your mind thinking about what you're going to say back, thinking about what you're going to respond with, thinking about how you can fix their problem, but listening from just a place of being a witness, really just watching their body language, hearing the tone in their voice, how is what they're saying to them. Are they really feeling it? Is it causing a lot of emotion for them? Or is it something that you can tell is just more of a surface thing for them? So listening from that more more depth and more distinct awareness, and even into your body, where if you're an empathetic person, like most women are, you're going to be able to feel that the other person is resonating inside of you. You know, you're going to be able to feel what's going on for them more easily. So communication is so many those things, those very powerful things, you know, being able to speak your truth and then being able to listen. It's been many hundreds of thousands of years where it hasn't been safe for women to speak their voice. Women have been quieted, they have been made to be seen but not heard, and so from generation to generation they shut down their voices, right? And so we have been carrying that epigenetically. After those times where it wasn't safe to speak up, and it wasn't, then we started to forget, oh, well, we don't even need to know what our truth is, because if we can't speak it, what's the point of knowing it? So then we start to forget what's true for us. We start to forget the importance of knowing what is authentic, what is real, what is true for us. Now we're finding ourselves in this generation where we're awakening to our truth and we're learning how to speak it at the same time. And as I said, being able to communicate is a big part of it, is being able to hear what the other person is saying. So when you're communicating with another person, especially if they are a man, you want to use masculine language. So masculine language is going to be like provide, protect, honor, you know. So instead of saying, I really need you to take the garbage out, you would say, I would feel so provided and honored if you would take the garbage out for me. You know, it would provide me with a sense of deep inner peace, whatever you want to say, you know, but framing it in a way that they can hear it. So those are general masculine words. General feminine words are going to be like connect and feel and you know, support. So you want to, if you're talking to a woman, use those words. And then also you want to just pay attention to that individual's words, like what's important to them. And, you know, really fun practice that I often will give to my coaching clients is to, you know, identify what are your 2 top core values and what are your partner's 2 top core values. You know, for example, my ex, he was fairness was really important to him, and I don't really value that as much, you know. And for me, understanding is so important, and that wasn't a big value for him. So hence part of our breakup. But you know, it's important, and hopefully when you identify what these values are, that you know they're kind of congruent, they're a match for each other. And then once you've identified them, you want to kind of play around and pay attention to how they work for you in your life and how they don't work for you in your life. So understanding is really important value to me, and how that works for me is that I understand people, and people feel very understood and seen by me. How it doesn't work for me is when I don't feel understood. It's like it's a big mess, you know. So that's a really important thing that I need in relationship. So it's something that I know about myself that will help me in any relationship that I'm in. If it's with a child, if it's with an adult, if it's with a patient, if it's with a coaching client, you know, whoever I'm in relationship with, it's something that I will bring into that equation. So, you know, noticing what are your top 2, 3, 4 core values, and asking your partner what are theirs just brings a deeper consciousness to the table. So any questions about communication? I know we got cut off in our communication throughout that piece.
I more of a just a comment, like that's so hugely helpful. I didn't even know that as a thing for, because I love identifying core values just for the sake of, you know, whether it's reaching a goal or, you know, connecting with the emotional component of it. But in terms of communication, like, could you maybe give everybody some more examples of core values just in case they're new to that? I thought of a few for myself right away, and I can't wait to now go ask Josh what his are. But yeah, if we could get some examples.
Yeah, in fact, I have a whole list of them. So I'll send you that PDF, Nicole, and you can give it to the group. Awesome. But, you know, honesty, you know, that's a big one for a lot of people. Integrity, compassion, you know, gosh, what are some other ones? Love.
I thought of like transparency.
Yes.
and quality time, things
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
Yes. Presence. Yeah,
Mm, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So those are
Okay.
all values, and I'll send that.
Okay. Okay.
So then the next sort of piece I wanted to go into is, I wrote it down, so I'm going to look it up. We talked about the throat chakra. Healing the throat chakra, I mean, there's just so many ways you can heal the throat chakra. Speaking your truth is definitely one. You have to identify what your truth is. You have to listen to your heart to find that out. And then, you know, singing, chanting, mantras, affirmation, speaking things out loud, speaking slowly so that you can you have enough time to enunciate. Mumbling is a common theme among a lot of the women that I work with. So taking time to speak slow enough to enunciate words so that, you know, I was having this group discussion and they were all like, my husband just always is saying what to me? He can't hear me. It's like, okay, well, are you speaking under your breath or are you mumbling? You know, either one of those things is going to make communication harder. So it's up to you to project. And, you know, you can speak from your throat, you can speak from right here, and then it's sort of your average normal voice. Then you can drop down into your heart. Imagine you're coming from the center of your chest and you're speaking from there. Then it gets a little bit louder and more resonant. And then if you drop down further into your belly, you start to speak from there. It gets even more strong and powerful. If you drop all the way down to your yoni and you speak from your vagina, from your yoni, it's going to come through with a whole different resonance and vibration and power and strength. So that's a great practice as well, especially if you're singing and really opening up that throat chakra or chanting or something like that. Chant from all the way down in your yoni and let that come all the way up through each one of those chakras and out through your voice. So that can be a really powerful way to open up the throat chakra. And this is something that I have definitely had to work really hard on for a lot of my life, and it's come along because you guys can hear me loud and clear now. But for many years, people would be like, "What?" And especially men, you know, "What? I can't hear you. What?"
Mm-hmm. It's almost like hiding.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's part of that epigenetic pass down that we have been handed, you know, even from our mothers, who are many of the women in the generation before us are the pleasers, and they'll bend over backwards and they'll give up their own needs to make sure that everyone else is happy and has what they need. And, you know, if you can hear your mom in that, you're not alone. It's very, very common. So it's time for us to reclaim, you know, what we need, what we desire. And that's part of sovereignty. That's sort of the next piece of having a good relationship, is having a sense of sovereignty within yourself. And sovereignty defined is, you know, the authority to make authentic choices for yourself in relationship to the whole. And when I say in relationship to the whole, I'm saying in relationship to the whole of you. And there are many different parts of you, and you've got to take care of all these different parts of you before taking care of others, because then when you're taking care of others from that very fulfilled whole place, it comes forth really effortlessly. And it's not like drudgery. It's not like something you have to do. It's more like fun, something you get to do because you've got so much overflowing. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't mean you have to go to the spa every day and, you know, meditate for an hour every day. It's more of a practice in just being present and checking in with your body, really checking in biologically. Is there anything I need in this moment? Do I need to pause and drink some water? Do I need to pause and go to the bathroom? So I implore you to use the pause, you know, as much as you want to, as much as you can in your life. Really start to practice that pause. If you're in this sort of, if you're having sort of a argument or something's going on in your relationship and you're not sure what you want to say back to what they just said, then you can pause. You can say, hang on, I need to just sit with that for a minute, or I need to sit with that for a day. You can pause as long as you want. And then I will come back and I will let you know how I feel about that, because we don't always know how we feel exactly in that moment. And that's where arguments can really go down that downward spiral, is when we start just throwing things out that aren't even really true for us, because we haven't taken the time to identify what's true for us.
Can I ask well, I guess it's a question, but I know a lot of women and even myself in the past, when you start to like learn about this type of work, you're almost afraid to do it because you think if you heal yourself or speak your truth or whatever, that the people in your life aren't going to like it. And so these relationships are going to end. So you almost avoid doing the work or doing the deep work. And that's been a part of my journey with it, where I avoided it completely. Then I got into it, but I was like, yeah, but I'm going to stop there because I don't want to rock the boat, or, you know, and it's this people pleasing thing that's probably causing a lot of cancer on the planet,
Yes.
is my theory.
That's a legitimate theory. Yeah, for sure. It's absolutely. It's, you know, we're afraid, we don't want to rock the boat, right? Again, because when we did in the past, when we spoke our truth in the past, we were burned at the stake, right? Or we were hung, or we were killed, right? It was not safe. And so now we're in this time and state and place where it's like, okay, it is safe to speak my truth. It is safe to hold boundaries. And when I do, when I know where I begin and the rest of the world begins, when I know where that boundary lies and I know how to hold that, it actually creates stronger relationships. What's that old adage, like good fences make good neighbors? You know, it's like, I know where I stand. I know how to own what is mine. My feelings are my own, and I'm going to own them. They're over here. Your feelings are your own. I'm not responsible for your feelings. So all of a sudden, it really takes all the pressure off of you, for one, and then it also makes both people have to be more a part of the relationship, instead of one person carrying all the emotion for everyone and the other person carrying something else for the two of you. And having those boundaries in place is definitely part of embodying that sovereign state. You know, it's like the archetype, I just wrote this blog, it's like, have you been sitting in the archetype of the queen or sitting in the archetype of the servant? You know, so what have you been practicing? Because it's all a practice, whether we're conscious of it or not. It's still just a practice, a way that we are in our lives. And so we have the choice, we have the option to change that way and to choose to embody the archetype of the queen, which isn't always easy. You know, the queen has to make some difficult decisions. She has to make some choices for herself and for the community at large. And she's not always going to please the people, but she's going to do what's best for the people, you know, and she's going to sit in the conviction of her choice. She's not going to apologize for her choice, and she's not going to, you know, downplay it in any way. She's going to make the choice, she's going to make it strong, and then she's going to stick with it. So she has to take the time she needs to figure out what is the right choice to begin with.
Perfect. I love that. And just for anybody listening live or the replay, like if you still are fearful, I can vouch for it just getting better and better and better after working with Willow and doing this work, and like seeing my relationships in general improve with myself and with my people I love. It's awesome. So
yeah. And you know, for a lot of men, if you're, you know, in a heterosexual relationship, they're really gonna respect you more when you've got these things in place, when you've got these boundaries in place, because it lets them know where they stand. I mean, women are a big, messy mystery, right? We just have these emotions. We're all over the place. How can we be tracked? It's just constantly, every day it's different. You know, what we like one day, we don't like the next, and we're always changing. So it's real hard for men to track us. And when you have a language that you can speak with him, and, you know, developing a language between the two of you, it's a really powerful way to let him know where you're at each moment of each day. That way he doesn't have to guess, he doesn't have to try to figure it out. And he's going to love that. He's going to be like, woohoo. Because what do men want to do? They want to provide. They don't always know what to provide, but when they do, they will provide it. That's what they want to do. They want to fix, they want to provide, they want to make sure you're happy. And so if it's something that they can do, they're going to be really happy to do that for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's true, Nicole. It does get easier over time. It does feel scary at first. And like you said too, it's like you're, inside you can be like, okay, I'm going to communicate to a point, but I'm not going to go beyond that point. But that's sort of the stretch. That's, tantra, sexual health and wellness. Tantra is part of that, and tan is a tool and tra is expansion. So it's a tool for expansion, and communication is definitely a part of that, especially when it comes to sexuality. Being able to, again, know what's true for you, what delights you, what's pleasurable for you, and then being able to ask for that. So the other thing is we could ask and we could communicate all day long about, what it is that's going to work for us. But if we're not receiving it, then it's all for naught. So we really have to open up our receptive channel, which is right here, right through the midline of the body, and receive whatever our partner is trying to give us, or our person we're in a relationship with. So receptivity is another one of those things that got shut down after generation. And so we're here to wake that up. We're here to wake up our ability to receive all the gifts that the universe is here to give us. And the trick in receiving is you cannot receive what's happening tomorrow or what's happening yesterday. You have to be present. You can only receive what's happening in this moment. Like, I can only receive the taste of this tea because that's what's in my hand right now to receive. I can only receive my experience with Nicole right now because that's what's happening right now. So I can't receive what's going to happen with my patient later today. It's not happening right now. So and then turning on your senses as well, receiving through your senses. So taste, touch, smell, sound, sight. Each one of those senses is a doorway. It's a portal to the present moment.
Would you say that men also have that, like, because we're speaking generally about women, this is a women's group, and our sort of, patterns, I guess, with this. So would you say the same thing? Like, do men have a hard time receiving, or as hard of a time as women, or is it different in that regard for them?
I have noticed in general, men are better at receiving. Yeah, they are.
I notice it in general, just in life. Like, if you're like, hey, here's, money or gift, or they're like, oh, sweet, thanks, man. Women are like, no, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's just interesting. I was like, I wonder what the comparison is, but yeah, we're so different.
Yeah. And it's part of the long time conditioning. I think women innately are like, that's their biggest power, is to receive. It's been not developed and not practiced for so long that it feels a little awkward at first. It's like, oh, am I deserving to receive that? So there's a level of self-worth that has to come to the surface, that has to be realized and seen by each individual. And so we all have our own relationship with our self-worth as well, being able to receive the love, the compliments, the gifts, the quality of life that you are living in is a practice, and a good one.
That's awesome. I love that. So we went over the throat chakra, the receiving, and then okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought we were missing something, but yeah, the next piece is exciting.
Yeah. So, as I was talking about this archetype of the queen, so you want to kind of look at like every sector of your life. And what sectors of your life are you already embodying the queen? This is going to really be, it's going to uplift your relationships, because you're going to be uplifted and you are a part of your relationships, right? You're a huge part of each one of your relationships. So when you uplift yourself and you look at, you know, when it comes to my health, I'm definitely standing in the queen archetype. I exercise every day, eat really well, I take care of my body, I'm very healthy physically. So that's great. Okay, sector of health is good. Then look at sector of finances. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, the money's coming in. I never want for anything. I'm feeling good in that area. Okay, great. Now you look at sexuality. Am I being the queen in the relationship with my sexuality? And for a lot of women, the answer is like, not really, like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's maybe like a 3 or a 4, so owning your desires, figuring out what those are, being able to speak them, all of that is so crucial to getting that up to a level 10. So you can kind of gauge where you're at. And really, when you're truly, truly embodying this sovereignty and this archetype of the queen, every single sector of your life, you're a 10 in, and that's what you're looking for. And what that creates inside of you is a sense of congruence. You've got these brains in your body. They say there's 3 brains in the body, neural pathways in your body that have memory. They can feel things, all this stuff. I think there's 4. So we've got the head, the heart, the gut, and then I think the vajayjay too has their own little brain. Very important little brain.
Yeah.
And so you want to have each one of these brains having a congruent conversation. They all want to be in alignment with each other and in agreement with each other. So when one isn't, like when the heart isn't getting to speak its truth or isn't getting to be heard at all, that can cause all kinds of heart disorders, right? It can cause palpitations, it can cause anxiety, it can cause, atrial fibrillation, just any kind of heart disease. Migraines are really common among women. And I truly believe that migraines are an incongruence between your heart, your head, your gut, and your yoni. You're doing something in your life you don't want to be doing. You're in a relationship you don't want to be in. You're doing work you don't want to be doing. Like there's something incongruent in your life. So you've got to look at that, and you always have choice. I come across clients all the time who are like, but I have to go to work, or but I have to stay with my husband, but I have to. I'm like, well, do you really? You got to start to question these things and get that really beautiful sense of alignment going on inside of yourself. When you've got that congruence going, you're embodying the queen. So I'm actually going to be doing a whole day. We've got a bunch of speakers coming together on May 1st, which is the day of Beltane, one of the Celtic holidays for the femininity to really rise and to shine and to embody that queen. And so it's called Dreaming the Queen Awake. So what we're going to be doing is looking into each one of these sectors of our lives and really doing practices to figure out what it is. And we're going to be doing embodiment practices. So we'll be moving. We're not just going to be sitting and talking, but we'll be moving, we'll be doing qigong, we'll be dancing, we'll be getting into our bodies, doing some art to really explore and discover where are we sitting in our queendom and where are we not, and what can we do to bring that piece up to par. So it'll be fun, May 1st, and Nicole will send you the link for that.
That's awesome. I'm going to definitely sign up for that. I just want to look at the time and make sure I can attend some of it. Will the recording be available as well?
Yeah, we'll be recording each one of the workshops. And so you'll have those, afterwards. You can just keep them for yourself and watch them anytime you want, which will be really a nice little collection, a nice little library. And this event is not free, but it's by donation. I think our lowest donation point is $7, which is totally a great deal. And all of it is going toward the Operation Underground Railroad, which is an organization that extracts children from sexual slavery. And then we are also giving it to Women for Women International, which is an organization that I've been supporting for many years. And they really help women who've been through rape and genocide in war-ridden countries like Rwanda and the Congo for many, many years. So we'll be giving to both of those organizations.
That's amazing. That's quite the charity. So you're just going to split the profit to each one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll definitely share the opt-in link for that, and I can share it with my other groups as well too. One question I had then, can you just briefly mention the different sectors of our lives so that they know, like, maybe there is this one area they know they're struggling with it, that they might want to join that and go deeper with it?
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking at health, we're looking at money, we're looking at sexuality, we're looking at spirituality, we're looking at psychology, so emotionality. We'll be looking at like the shadow side, the unconscious side. What else? Relationships, just general relationships. So yeah,
Okay.
those are kind
Perfect.
of home life, family life. They're all in there.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. There was two people on, and it looked like, I don't know if they hopped off because of a connection issue, or maybe they snuck out of work to be on the call. So I don't know that there's any follow-up questions to this. Is there anything you want to add? One last takeaway, Willow, or anything?
I just would say, if you are in a relationship at all, then God bless, you are doing the work. Being in a relationship is the mirror that you get to look in order to grow and expand yourself. So it's not always easy to look in that mirror, and it's not always easy to hear that reflection that person might have for you, but it is the quickest way to expand and to evolve into who you're being. Because if you're, just in your own little world and not having a lot of relationships with a lot of people, you're not going to have somebody to bounce your expansion off of and how that's going. You're not going to have someone to kind of reflect how you're feeling and to feel into what's going on for you. So for those of you who are doing it, hooray. And those of you who are, wanting more relationships in your life, it just comes from being you. It comes from being present, comes from feeling your feet on the ground and just speaking what's in your heart.
Love that. I definitely agree with, it doesn't matter who you're in relationship with, they are in some ways a reflection of you, especially the pieces that you dislike about that person. And I see it in myself and others, but even just observing when somebody's maybe complaining about somebody else, I'm like, you're complaining about a quality that you have. Like you don't see it at all, but that's the shadow work, right? It's to go to that side of it. So yeah, we're always doing the work. We just don't realize it, and we can make it harder on ourselves by ignoring it or start paying attention.
So true. So true.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know everyone's going to love this replay. I will post everything in the group so everybody has it, and I'll definitely want to have you back at some point for sure if you're up for it.
Yes, I would love it. Thanks, Nicole.
Awesome. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.